We've just had, we're in a special session right now. I'll just briefly talk about that. We have one more group of redistricting to do. Those are the congressional districts. And we'll be going back in June and trying to resolve those issues. I'm not going to speak too much about it because I think my good friend and my colleague Senator Locke has a few words that she will probably talk about, so I'll leave those to her. There was a couple of things that happened during the last session that as Democrats we should not be proud of. One of them is women's rights. You know, I can't tell you how disappointed I am over that bill. I feel like we've taken, we've stepped back 40 years.
Yes.
And we need to work hard to turn this trend back around, because some of the bills that I see are so backwards. And it's not a direction that any of us need to be going in. So I urge you to pay attention to what's going on up there like you always do. Come up and talk to these committees and tell them, this isn't a good bill, I don't like this bill. They need to hear from you. It doesn't do any good for Robin Abbott to go before a subcommittee and say, this bill is pretty damaging. You know, if there's not anybody standing next to Robin Abbott, they're not going to believe her. You've got to go up there and you've got to fight these issues with us. Sometimes we don't get a whole lot of notice. You know, but if I send out a call for people to please come up and support those bills that I think are so bad that I need your help up there to try and do something to quit this craziness from occurring. So,
but Robin is absolutely right. It's been very difficult dealing with a Republican administration and a Republican House that passes nonsensical bills. And one of the things that we have to say to the House members, you know, put up some red lights so we'll know that it's a problem, and so that we can kill them when they come to us. Because, you know, if they come to us 99-0, we don't think there's a problem. So, you know, we will end up voting for the bad bills too. And we have to make sure that, one, the Virginia Senate stays blue. Otherwise, we will be in more trouble than we already are. Because if the plan is approved by the Justice Department, it will be 10 years, you know, of 70 seats in the House of Delegates being Republican seats. You know, and with very little change, and Robin is correct, if we don't run people, then it will be 70 seats that they will control. And it makes it even more difficult for us in the Senate to try to deal with the kinds of idiotic legislation that passes the House of Delegates and comes over to the Senate that we have to systematically dispense with. And we have to come up with all kinds of imaginative ways to try to deal with it. You know, from Senator Saslaw's, I have a special subcommittee. You ask him who's on it. You know, he said they know who they are. You know, to not docketing bills so that we can try to contain some of that foolishness. And what they did on the floor of the Senate is absolutely horrible when it came to abortion rights. And I am a yellow dog Democrat. Sometimes more yellow than yellow. And it bothers me when Democrats don't live up to what I consider to be democratic principles. And reproductive rights for women, yes, in my view, is a true democratic principle.
Absolutely.
When we have Democrats who get, I mean, I just have a problem with people getting involved in Donald Trump. That's my problem. And when they could easily just walk off the floor. You know, that's all one person had to do, just leave the floor and not vote, which would have given us the majority vote on that amendment that was so devastating. So if you don't keep the Senate blue, we're going to be in real trouble. And because the House, it's a given that it's going to remain Republican, because their only concern was how Republican performing was the district. They tried to do in people like Robin and Paula Miller in Norfolk, Ward Armstrong, and others in a way, Bill Marlowe, in ways that would make it more difficult for them to run and win. But all of us are going to run and win and continue to fight the good fight, as we always do as Virginia Democrats. So thank you very much for having me this evening.